Namaste, Manoj sir, and namaste, everyone, and welcome to our September edition of Swar Shravan with Krishna Janmashtami and Ganesh Chaturthi. Our festive season has begun, and I'm sure in this mood of festivity, Manoj sir is going to present a great stalwart from our world of Shastri Sangeet. So before I turn it over to him, a gentle reminder to stay muted. And then if you have any questions, please type them up in the chat window and we'll request Manoj sir to respond to them towards the end of the program. Thank you so much, and over to you, Manoj sir.
Thank you so much, Seshadri and namaskar to everyone. Guess what? We have completed exactly a year. Last year, September 13th, was when we had our first session of Swarshravan. So, would really like to thank all participants who have attended this session regularly and supported us in our endeavor of bringing to you artists who are well known but still are not as heard of or heard very regularly by people, right? So that is our whole purpose of bringing this series to you. So today's artist is a male vocalist, and he's a contemporary artist, very much in the arena, performing in various places, both in India and abroad. The best part about this artist is he's really an epitome of Guru Bhakti in this present age, when there are so many distractions and so many avenues by which anyone can learn music. But this artist just is totally dedicated to his Guru and completely devoted, and somebody who served his Guru till his Guru's last breath. And the artist about whom we are going to talk today is none other than Pandit Raghunandan Panshikar ji. Yes, Pandit Raghunandan Panshikar. He is the one. So he's our guest of honor, if I were to say today. So Raghunandan Panshikar ji, endearingly known as Raghudada, he belongs to a very spiritual family. His great grandfather and his grandfather were Sanskrit Pandits, and so he grew listening to all the hymns and shloks in his household. And his father, Shri Prabhakar Panshikar ji, is a household name in Marathi plays. He's an amazing director and a wonderful actor of so many Marathi plays. So, with such a rich artistic and a spiritual background, Panditji, that is Raghudada, was uh, brought up, and it was sheer accident actually that he began learning music. So apparently he was initially an actor because his father basically said that, hey, uh, why don't you help me in my various projects? So then if his father needed somebody to play like a small role, he would ask uh, Raghudada to play that role. And because his father knew that he could sing a little bit, so then he would also sing as a part of that role. And then after a while, apparently, when he went to college, uh, the training given in college was in English medium, which he just did not understand. So apparently, him and some of his friends decided that, you know what, this is not meant for us. Let's just leave college and do something else on our own. And then his parents were the one who said that, okay, you know what, you are so interested in music and so inclined towards music, so why don't you try to take up music as your full-time career? And that's how Raghudada got into singing full-time. So with this background, we'll of course be talking about him more as we move forward, but let's listen to the first presentation of Pandit Raghunandan Panshikar ji in one of the richest rags, as we call it, one of the grand rags, and that is Rag Bhupali, also called as Rag Bhoop, in which you will hear two compositions, one in Vilambit Teen Tal, Prathama Sura Sadhe, and the second one is the legendary composition. And I'm sure if some of you, when you hear the composition, you will know who was his guru. And that is going to be in Drut, Teen Tal. So here you go with Panditji singing Rag Bhoop.
501 Rag Bhoop, MP3. Selected. 0 button.
जन्म को संग न भूले अब के
Wow, wow.
Selected. Inbox.
So
01 Rob Boop. MP3. Speech off.
some of you, I think, must have figured out as to who the guru of Raghudada is, and that is none other than Vidushi Kishori Amonkar ji. Yep. So I was talking about how Raghudada took to music when he went to college, and he realized that college education was not something that was for him. And then so it seems he first heard Pandit Mallikarjun Mansurji, because obviously when he had to take up music as a full-time career, he needed a guru, because until then he had not learnt music formally. So then he first went to listen to Pandit Mallikarjun Mansurji, a doyen of the Jaipur Atroli Gharana. And then when he met Panditji, he was very nice, but then he said that, look, I'll be constantly traveling, so I'll ask one of my senior disciples to teach you. But Raghudada was not up for it. He said, no, I wanted to learn from Panditji. So then that fizzled out. And then he even approached Pandit Jasrajji. And then Pandit Jasrajji, in his inimitable style, he told him that, look, why don't you call me later, and then we'll decide. And even that fizzled out. And then there was a play that was being written, for which the music was to be given by Kishori Amonkar ji. And so, and of course, Raghudada's father, Shri Prabhakar Panshikar ji, was involved in that play, being an actor himself. And so Raghudada was assigned the job of being like an assistant to Kishori Tai, not in terms of music composition, but just to help her out. Like if she needed any things to taken care of, or to take care of her paraphernalia, and all those back end stuff. So Raghudada was asked to help Kishori Tai. Then he readily agreed. And then apparently in one such session in which Kishori Tai was trying to teach a variation to one of her students, and even after teaching that student so many times, the student was not able to get that variation, but Raghudada suddenly sang that variation exactly as Kishori Tai wanted it to be sung. And then she said, "Hey, you looks like you have an inclination to sing. Why didn't you sing a little bit?" And then Kishori Tai, when he sang for Kishori Tai, she said, "There is a lot of bhava in your voice. Let's start from today afternoon." So that same day, he started his training under Kishori Tai. And then the rest is history, because for the next 20 years, 20 long years, he was totally he literally was a shadow to Kishori Tai. Wherever she went, he was there. And then she really groomed him, and not just his classical music, but even other aspects of music which she wanted him to learn and master. So the next composition that we are going to listen from Raghudada is the one in Naiki Kannada. So Naiki Kannada is a part of the Kannada family of rags, as the name suggests. It's a late night melody. And it has a very unique phrase with which it is recognized. And that phrase has to be sung very frequently when the rag is presented. So it goes something like this. Ga ma ni pa ni ni pa ma ni pa ma ga ma pa ma re sa re ni sa ga ma ni pa. So this ga ma pa ma re sa, this is a very typical feature of Naiki Kannada. You will not hear this in any other rag. So this is a composition in Drut Ek Tal, 12 beat cycle, that Raghudada is going to sing for us. So Naiki Kannada.
Speech on. File info. 03 Ragal 02 Naiki Kannada. Selected.
मन समझा लाख जतन कर समझ न पाऊं, लाख जतन कर समझ न पाऊं,
क्या बात है, वाह।
कैसे करूँ मैं मन समझा ये मारिया बिन नाही चैन नाही चैन नाही
Wow, wow, wow. So mellifluous, right? You know, especially when he takes those fast tans, so much clarity in tans, and at the same time, extremely melodious to hear, right? So, so after a late night melody, let's listen to a late morning melody, Rag Alhaiya Bilawal, in which Raghudada sings a very popular bandish in Drut Teen Tal, Kavan Batariya Gailo. So Alhaiya Bilawal, of course, although it's, I mean, the name of the rag is Alhaiya Bilawal, but it's basically Khamaj Thaat. And it has a very unique moment in the sense that the swar ni, mainly it is Shuddha ni, but the Komal ni is used in a very unique way in this rag, something like this. Gapadhani sa nida nida padaga re ga pa ma ga ma re sa re sa. मगरे ग प ध नि सा रे सा द नि द प द ग मरे ग प म ग मरे सा रे सा ग रे ग प ध नि सा. So that's Alaya Bilawal. So let's listen to this composition by Raghudada in Druttin Tal.
Speech on. 503 Ragal Hey ability. Selected. 0 button. Speech on.
कवन बटरिया गैलो माई कवन बटरिया गैलो माई माई कवन बटरिया गैलो 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 माई ये हो बता मैं घरवागत माई चुरिया बैलवा बटरिया गैलो माई कवन बटरिया गैलो लेने गई सुध अरे हटवारे लेने गई लेने गई सुध अरे हटवारे इतनी घड़ी में गई लो कवनवा कवन बटरिया गैलो माई कवन बटरिया कवन बटरिया कवन बटरिया गैलो कवन बटरिया कवन बटरिया गैलो कवन बटरिया गैलो कवन बटरिया गैलो लेने गई सुध हरे हटवारे लेने गई सुध लेने गई सुध हरे हटवारे इतनी घड़ी में गई लो कवनवा कवन बटरिया गैलो माई कवन बटरिया गैलो माई कवन बटरिया गैलो माई कवन बटरिया गैलो बटरिया गैलो बटरिया गैलो
Speech on. Speech off.
Wow. So that was Alaya Bilawal for you. Of course, I must here clarify that I said that it is Kamash Thought. There is a school of thought which obviously says that it is Bilawal Thought too, because of the name Alhiya Bilawal and the less usage of Komalni, so to say. So there is another school of thought which says that it is Bilawal Thought. So, yeah. But now we have come to the interesting part of our session, which is my most favorite part, and I have heard other people also say that it is their favorite part too, and that is the interview with the artist. And in this, Raghudada talks about, so remember I mentioned as to how Kishoritai wanted him to sing various other aspects or genres of music. So in this interview, Raghudada vividly reveals as to how Kishoritai herself sang other genres. And of course, we know that she sang devotional songs and a few Marathi bhavgits. But in this interview, Raghudada actually tells us as to how she has even sung and even tuned some ghazals in Hindi. So that is so fascinating. And apparently, she sang these ghazals for a few cassettes, which somehow never came out or they never became popular. So this interview is in Marathi, as I said, in which the interviewer actually asks him as to how Kishoritai encouraged him to sing other genres of music, despite her being a very traditional classical musician. And then Raghudada revealing as to how Kishoritai was so inclined and she enjoyed other genres of music. So let's listen to this interview in Marathi.
Speech on. 04 interview. MP3. Selected. 0.
रघुदादा, तुम्ही गाण्यातले सगळे प्रकार गाता. तुम्ही नाट्यसंगीतापासून गझलपर्यंत सगळं गाता. पण मी असं ऐकलं आहे की किशोरीताई स्वतः लाईट म्युझिक फारशा गात नसत. मग त्यांनी तुम्हाला प्रेमापोटी लाईट म्युझिक गाण्याची परवानगी दिली की तुम्ही तसंच गायला लागलात? कारण मी तुमचे खूप रेकॉर्डिंग्स ऐकलेले आहेत.
किशोरीताईंच्याकडे जसं मी गाणं शिकायला सुरुवात केली तसं एक ट्रेडिशनल तालीम जसं म्हणतात ती मला किशोरीताईंनी शिकवली. आणि म्हणजे सकाळी 5 वाजता उठून स्वरभरणा करणे वगैरे, अलंकार घेणे, त्यानंतर बंदिशींचं चयन करणे, सकाळ संध्याकाळ एक फॉर्मॅट काय असतो ह्याचा अभ्यास करणे. फक्त एक गोष्ट मला इथे जरूर सांगायला आवडेल की किशोरीताईंना शास्त्रीय संगीताबरोबर उपशास्त्रीय संगीताचं प्रचंड अभ्यासू वृत्तीने आवड, आपण ज्याला म्हणू, की अमुक एक गोष्ट माझ्या गळ्यात येत नाही म्हणजे काय. म्हणजे त्यांनी एक सांगितलेली घटना तुम्हाला मी सांगतो. त्यांना लाईट म्युझिक यावं म्हणून मोगूबाईंनी एक गुरुजी ठेवले होते आणि ते गुरुजी येऊन शिकवायचे. आणि एक महिना 15 दिवस झाल्यानंतर गुरुजींनी मोगूबाईंना सांगितलं, मोगू, अगं तुझी मुलीचा आवाज म्हणजे दगड आहे म्हणाले, त्याच्यात काही येईल असं मला वाटत नाही. हे किशोरीताईंनी दरवाजा अडून ऐकलं आणि ते ऐकल्यानंतर त्यांचा जो संताप, सात्विक संताप, तो अनावर झाला. आणि मग त्यांनी पुढे मनाशी चंग बांधला की अशी कुठलीही गोष्ट असता कामा नये की जी माझ्या गळ्यात येणार नाही. मग त्याने तो अभ्यास सुरू केला लाईट म्युझिकचा. आणि लाईट म्युझिकचा अभ्यास त्यांनी, मी त्यांच्या तोंडची वाक्यात ते सांगतो, ते एक लताबाईंचं जुनं गाणं आहे काहीतरी, त्यावेळेला त्यांच्याकडे रेडिओ पण नव्हता. तुझे स्वप्नी पाहिले गोपाळ मोदे स्वागत, असा काहीतरी एक जागा त्याच्यामध्ये होती. तर त्या जागेचं त्यांना भयंकर फॅसिनेशन. परत कर्मठ प्रॅक्टिसमध्ये किशोरीताई वाढलेल्या, गमकयुक्त ताना अमुक तमुक, हे कुठून येणार. हे जसं त्यांनी ऐकलं तसं ते जेव्हा गाणं लागेल रेडिओवरती त्यावेळेला त्या नेहमी ते ऐकायच्या आणि ते तत्काळ म्हणायचा प्रयत्न करायचा. मग त्यांना आणखीन असं वाटलं की आणखीन आपण याच्यात डीप जावं, म्हणून त्या हुस्नलालजी भगतरामजी यांच्यापैकी हुस्नलालजी त्यांच्याकडे शिकायला गेल्या. मग त्यांच्याकडनं त्यांनी प्रॉपर लाईट म्युझिकची तालीम घेतली त्यांनी.
वा.
आणि म्हणून तर त्या गीत गाया पथ्थरोने वगैरे, जाईन विचारित, हे श्यामसुंदर, ही गाणी ते त्यावेळेला गाऊ शकल्या. आणि आजही त्याला कोणीही म्हणजे ती गायचा प्रयत्न केल्यानंतर त्यांच्या ताकदीने कोणीच गाऊ शकत नाही. गीत गाया पथ्थराने तर विचारच करू शकत नाही आपण. हे श्यामसुंदर एक 100 पट लय कमी करून म्हणू शकतो, पण ह्याचा विचार पण इतका त्यांचा गाढा अभ्यास होता. मग काही दिवस झाल्यानंतर मग त्यांना असं वाटलं की रघुच्या गळ्यात सगळं यायला पाहिजे. उद्याचा येणारा काळ त्यांनी बापला होता, त्यामुळे त्यांना असं वाटलं की रघुच्या पुढे काय माहिती नाही आपल्याला, क्लासिकलचं वातावरण किती राहील काय राहील. मग त्यांनी एक एक करून गझल मला शिकवायला सुरुवात केली. त्यामुळे स्वतः किशोरीताईंनी रचलेल्या गझल आहे म्हणून त्या ज्या गझल म्हणजे तेवढी 10 वर्षाची होती, 80 ते 90चं आपण म्हणू, त्या 10 वर्षात ताईंनी जास्तीत जास्त गझल ताईंनी म्हणाल्या. प्लस ताईंचे 2 कार्यक्रम जे होते त्या दोन्ही कार्यक्रमाच्या प्रॅक्टिसला सेशन्सला मी हजर राहायचो. मी त्यातला एक ज्ञानेश्वरांचा होता, तोची नादू सुस्वरू झाला, आणि मगन हुई मीरा चली. म्हणजे मी गमतीत म्हणता म्हणता असं म्हणतो, तोची नादूमध्ये एक 20-25 रचना असतील, मगन हुई मीरा चलीमध्ये एक 20 रचना असतील, प्लस त्यांच्या गझल ज्या आहेत ज्या बाहेर माहितीच नाहीत कोणाला, त्या एक कमीत कमी 30-35 असतील, त्यातल्या मला 20-25 लक्षात आहेत. प्लस येता जाता म्हणजे रोज त्यांनी काही ना काहीतरी जी नवनिर्मिती केली आहे ती, त्यात काही हिंदी आहेत, काही कानडी आहेत, काही संस्कृत आहेत, काही उर्दू आहेत. ह्या सगळ्या रचना मी समोर असतानाच झालेल्या आहेत, त्यामुळे त्यांचा एक इम्पॅक्ट माझ्यावर पडला. आणि मला एक वाक्य किशोरीताईंनी सांगितलं, रघु म्हणाले, हे क्लासिकल आणि हे लाईट असा भेद नाही करायचा. सूर जिथे जिथे जातो तिथे तिथे आपण जायचं आणि त्याचं म्हणणं काय आहे ते आपण बघायचा प्रयत्न करायचा. पुढे कसं झालं की आपण ज्याला म्हणतो की सगळ्या पद्धतीने किशोरीताईंनी संगीत आपलंसं करायचा प्रयत्न केला. आणि मग जेव्हा त्यांच्या लक्षात आलं की शब्द ताल ह्याच्यापेक्षा सूर हा त्यांना जास्त महत्त्वाचा वाटतोय स्वरसाधना, तसं त्यांनी हळूहळू लाईट क्षेत्र कमी केलं. म्हणजे अगदी कव्वाली टाईप गझल पण त्या गायलेल्या आहेत आणि त्याच्या रेकॉर्डिंग्स पण उपलब्ध आहेत, रेडिओलाच गायल्यात, त्यामुळे तो काही मुद्दा नाही. तर त्या पद्धतीने आवाज कसा लावायचा वगैरे वगैरे हा सगळ्यात किशोरीताईने अभ्यास केला होता. पण ह्या सगळ्यांच्या अपेक्षा त्यांना स्वरांचं जास्त महत्त्व हळूहळू वाटत गेलं, त्यामुळे मग त्यांनी त्या स्वरांकडेच खेचल्या गेल्या आणि स्वरक्षेत्र ह्याच्याकडे त्या जास्त त्यातच त्या रमल्यानंतर. त्यामुळे आपण त्या बाकीच्या रचना जास्त, आज आपण किशोरीताई म्हटल्यानंतर आपल्याला पटकन त्यांचे गझल आठवणार नाही किंवा हे लाईट आठवणार नाही, पण एखाद्या रागाचा भाव आणि किशोरीताई म्हणजे 1.5-2 तास त्याच्यामध्ये अगदी समुद्र मंथन करावं तसं त्यांच्या आलापचारी सुरू असते. तर लाईट गाऊ नको असं त्यांनी कधीच सांगितलं नाही. उलट त्यांची खूप इच्छा होती की त्यांच्या गझलांचा कार्यक्रम मी करावा. गझल गा हे गा ते गा, म्हणजे रघुच्या गळ्यात सगळं यायला पाहिजे, रघुच्या गळ्याला कुठलाही अटकाव नाही पाहिजे, हे ह्या भूमिका ठेवूनच त्यांनी मला शिकवलं. त्यामुळे एखादी गोष्ट आली नाही तर त्या व्यवस्थितपणे जसं एखाद्या शब्दांनी बोलून कसं रडवायचं हे त्यांना माहिती होतं. त्यामुळे कसं त्याच्याकडनं रघु त्या गोष्टीकडे कसा अट्रॅक्ट होईल आणि रघुल त्याचं महत्त्व वाटून तो त्याचा स्टडी कसा करेल त्याच्याकडे त्यांचं फार बारकाईने लक्ष होतं.
मग रघुदादा, मग एखादी गझल जी किशोरीताईंनी कंपोज केली आहे ती तुमच्याकडून ऐकायला आवडेल.
दिल ही नहीं तो दिल के सहारों को क्या करूं, दिल ही नहीं तो दिल के सहारों को क्या करूं, जब पास तुम नहीं तो, जब पास तुम नहीं तो बारों को क्या करूं, दिल ही नहीं तो दिल के सहारों को क्या करूं, जलवों से जिसके चांद सितारों में थी जिया, अब वो हंसी नहीं तो सितारों को क्या करूं, दिल ही नहीं तो दिल के सहारों को क्या करूं, क्या करूं, क्या करूं.
Wow. Isn't it so amazing? In fact, I don't know if some of you felt, but I definitely thought that in some of the lines, there was a little bit of a touch of Mehdi Hasan Sahab. So it was just so amazing to hear what Raghudada revealed in that interview, right? So it was just so touching. And just as he said, as to how Kishori Tai said, that wherever you find good swar, whether it is classical music, light music. In fact, in this interview, which is there on YouTube, he actually goes to say that Kishori Tai even liked songs. So there was one particular song he mentioned that, Disco Divane, aha. So apparently she liked that song too, because she felt that there was something in it too. And then this very popular song from movie Ram Leela, Lal Ishq, she really thought that Arijit Singh, the singer, just sang it so brilliantly. So, which means she was so open to all these things, right? यानी कि जहाँ पे भी सच्चा सुर लगता है, that is it. Whether it is classical music, qawwali, ghazal, bhajan, Bollywood, so that is that's what we learn from this interview of Raghudada. So this next composition is a very interesting one. It's a very new rag, and apparently it is Kishori Tai's composition. It's called Anand Malhar, and it's a very unique combination of Yaman and Malhar, right? So Yaman and Malhar. So let's listen to this composition in Madhyalay Teen Tal, 16 beats cycle. So let's listen to a few initial alaps by Raghudada and then the composition.
Speech on. File it. 05 Raghunandan Malhar. MP3.
Yaman. Re ni ma Malhar.
बरसत घन आयो रंगीला बरसत घन आयो रंगीला बरसत घन आयो रंगीला बरसत घन आयो ओ रगी हरि हरि नूर छड़ा दीनो चाहो देसा बरसत घन आयो बूंदी जन माल सिंगार करे बूंदी जन माल सिंगार करे सब फूल पात आनो चहो देस बरसत घन आयो रंगीलो बरसत
Speech on. Speech off.
Wow. Was Anand Malhar. Very unique combination, isn't it? Yaman and Malhar, two totally different thoughts, and it's very unique that Kishori Tai came up with this rag, Anand Malhar. Our final composition is a devotional song, a Marathi abhang set to Bhajani Tal, 8-beat cycle. It's a very popular one, an abhang by Santa Tukaram Maharaj that Raghudada sings for us, Padmanabha Narayana.
Speech on. File 06 Marathi Abhang Padmanabha Narayana.
Wow.
Selected. Inbox. 06 Marathi at handpad. Speech off.
Let's bow down to this wonderful artist, and just let's actually bow down to his Guru Bhakti, right? Like I said at the beginning of the program, somebody who is an epitome of devotion for his Guru and served her till her very end. So, and let's hope that we get to hear him for years and years to come, and all of us listen to him more and get soaked in the bliss of his music. So with this, we come to the end of this session. In case, Seshadriji, if there are any questions, do let me know.
None at this time, sir.
None at this time. So the next session, so today's was session number 13. Session number 14 will be held on the second Sunday of October, which is October 10th, 2021. Same time, 5:30 Eastern. So we'll hope to see you all then. Until then, let's all get soaked and just listen to artists like Pandit Raghunandan Panshikar ji and many others who are just so amazing and phenomenal in their approach towards music and in their presentation, but unfortunately are not heard of very frequently. So with that, happy listening, stay safe and healthy, and until the next session, namaskar.